I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to load this up. Okay, perfect. So welcome to our monthly Tech Bite. Today's focus will be on Harmony Mobile 4.0. We came out with some new features which are really important and really enhance the capability of Harmony, or Harmony Mobile, I should say. And I want to go ahead and tell you a little bit about that today. I know we have some new people on the Tech Bites this morning. So just to kind of let you know, the Tech Bites are a monthly thing that we do, or that I put on. The format is about 20 minutes of presentation / demo and 10 minutes of Q&A. A lot of times I go under that and it's a little bit less time. But the idea is to just get you a quick bite, right? A quick little taste of something new, something different, something you might not know Checkpoint's doing, just to keep the awareness up and the awareness of new features and new releases. Today's going to have a slide deck. I would say that probably about 80% of the time I have no slides at all, but there's going to be a short-ish slide deck today, and then we're going to jump over to the management console and see what Harmony Mobile does. I wanted to keep this slide deck in part because I know since we have some newer people, they might not be as familiar with Harmony Mobile. I did do a previous Tech Bite, and it's available on YouTube. When I send out the link, you could look through if you want to see it. So we're going to focus on the new stuff mostly, but I am going to have a little refresher for you here in this slide deck. Okay. As always, if you have any questions, you could drop them in the chat. You could drop them in the Q&A. There's also a raise hand option. You could do that. I'll unmute you if you want to speak instead of type. That's fine. And hopefully we can learn a few new things here. All right. So Harmony Mobile, real quick, I'm going to just zip through this. This is what Checkpoint views the Harmony or the mobile world as, the mobile threat prevention should have. And this is how we built our Harmony Mobile product, right? Prevention. When you think Checkpoint, no matter what product it is, we're talking prevention, right? Let me get rid of this overlay. We always want to block the attack before it actually happens, so we're not playing catch up. One size fits all. The mobile device world has two major OSs, being iOS and Android. We have a variety of scenarios and environments out there. Some companies issue cell phones to people, and that's the only phones that they're worried about. Some companies don't issue any phones to people, and they are allowed to bring your own device, or BYOD. And so there's a real tight wire to walk in terms of privacy and security and control, right? There's a whole lot of companies that have like a hybrid scenario where they issue some people company-owned devices, and the other people have like a BYOD access to specific services and applications. So we have to be flexible with our solution. It also we wanted to integrate with the SIM, right? So you can get the logs and the threat events and so forth out of it. And we also want to integrate with MDMs and UEMs, and we'll talk about that in point 4 here in just a second. Visibility and control, right? You want to have the correct amount of visibility and control over what applications are in use on a device and the security posture of a device, and what can the device access on the corporate infrastructure while it is in a elevated risk state or insecure posture, right? 4, zero touch. We natively integrate, and there are steps in the admin guide to show you how to do it. We natively integrate with the majority of UEMs and MDMs out there. So Microsoft Intune, Cisco Mobile Iron, Good, BlackBerry's Good. There's 5 or 6 other ones that I'm forgetting. Literally, the steps are right in the admin console. They're in the admin guide. You can easily integrate with those guys. It's important to understand too that we're not here to really replace those guys. There is a lot of overlap in terms of some of our functionalities. An MDM, let's say Microsoft Intune as an example, is built to do different things. It's not built to do threat prevention on the device. It's built to set a policy for the device and control the device a little bit and that sort of thing. But it doesn't do usually, none of them natively do real threat prevention and zero-day threat prevention and anti-phishing and all these other things we're going to see. They all have usually like some static antivirus built in or something. But we're not here to replace those guys, right? We want to work with them in most cases. And 5, impact on the users, right? We talked about a lot of these phones are BYOD, and even if they're not, there's a level of privacy expectation on phones. We want to respect that. And also, you know, we have to be, of course, as always, cognizant of the user experience. Checkpoint's Harmony Mobile, formerly Sandblast Mobile, has been out in the industry for years. And I just left this slide in to show you that we've been reviewed by a lot of third parties like Frost and Sullivan and Mircom. In Mircom's test, which Mircom actually tests these things. You know, some companies don't actually have like a test that they do. Mircom's test, we detected 100% of the attacks they did, which was really awesome. You see Frost and Sullivan talks about previously unknown exploits and malware. And then, come on, there we go. Just to blow this up slightly, because I don't have glasses on. IDC did like a threat landscape or you know, market quadrant type thing. As you can see, we're the big pink circle there. We did very well. And also the size of the circle in this picture is the like market share, right? The bigger the circle, the more market share you have. And you see we're definitely a leader in that sense too, in that we have a large share of the mobile threat defense market. This is my last review part, so then we're going to move to the new stuff. If hopefully I haven't bored you too much if you know the product. So previously, Harmony Mobile really focused on 3 separate areas: applications, the network, and the device and the OS. We had our behavioral risk engine, which did real-time analysis, and it prevented you from sideloading apps, right? You had to get them from the App Store or Google Play or a defined by the admin corporate app repository, right? And that was it, really, is what you would set. We had the big threat features like anti-phishing, risky download prevention, secure browsing. We had conditional access, which was really important because you see here, there's no threats that keeps popping up on the thing that moves on the left. You know, that's actually a picture of the agent on a phone. When it said there was threats, an admin could set the device where it could not reach out to corporate intranet or certain websites, or perhaps like something you have out in the cloud, like Office 365 or AWS or whatever, so that it couldn't have any negative impacts in those places, right? And would have to return the phone to a good no threat state to get to those things. Anti-bot, protect DNS, and Wi-Fi network security, which is a scary thing. The Harmony Mobile will prevent you from accessing a malicious Wi-Fi access point and prevent man-in-the-middle attacks. So when you go to Starbucks and it says, and you see 2 Starbucks Wi-Fis, it'll prevent you from getting on the wrong one. We had device assessment, which included OS vulnerabilities, make sure you're on the right version of the OS. Device level exploits, we could actually prevent attacks on the hardware, right? Risky configurations, like, you know, don't have a lock screen, things like that. Rooting and jailbreaking, we could detect and prevent on that. So that's all the things we've had, and we've had them for a long time, right? But now with Harmony Mobile 4.0, we have added file prevention and scanning. And I'm going to show you this stuff the new stuff I'm going to talk about in the admin console in just a moment. So we've introduced malicious file protection. I know some of you might be saying that you didn't have this already. This seems like a kind of like a step 1 type thing. The customers that R&D dealt with all kind of said the same thing. Nobody downloads files to their phone. right? You have the apps, you download the apps, but they don't download files to their phone. So we focused on other things first. But what we found out is that that's not really true. We had a large beta, or early availability as we call it. We found that the average user downloads 3 files a day, every day, 3 new files to their phone. The majority of them are PDFs and Word documents and stuff like that, but they can be executable files. They could be all sorts of things, right? And what we also found is that we don't really, all the competitors, you saw a bunch of them in that other slide, almost all of them don't have this. They don't have file protection and file scanning. So a real world example of what we found, this actually was something that we found a couple times. There was a PDF that had embedded in the macros in it, or in the content in it, the active content, the Mirai botnet, which is a nasty little malware that makes your machine, usually a Linux machine, makes that machine part of a botnet, a commanded, or responds to a command and control, and it'll attack other companies, other places, other people. So the malware was embedded in the PDF, and what happened was the user went to download it on his computer or her computer, and the computer had endpoint protection. And the endpoint protection said, no, this is bad. This is no good. It's malware. You can't download it on his computer, right? So a lot of times what would happen is that same person, because they wanted their PDF, would then download it on their phone. And without any protection, they would just download the file onto the phone, and then they could send the file, right? Download it and then email it or text it, or whatever they're going to do. But let's just say email for this purpose. They could email the file to someone who could then open it on a vulnerable machine and get hacked, right? The file prevention has enabled us to stop that download and to check the files and make sure that they don't have malware in them, both for that phone, right, the iOS or Android device, but also, and this is an example of it, attacks for other OSs, right? So that they can't become a door or a back door or something to attack your infrastructure. And the process, real quick, is user attempts to download a file. The file is scanned and prevented. The file download, if it is a brand new file we've never seen, is uploaded to emulation. And the threat details are available to the admin and also to the user inside the app. That's picture at the bottom is what it looks like on the admin side. The other thing that we brought, which is really cool, is we have integration with Samsung Knox now. If you're not familiar, Samsung Knox is the native security built into Samsung's version of Android. With this integration, we can prevent malicious apps from running until they've been scanned. We can prevent them from being installed in the first place without being, before we have a verdict on them. Really cool stuff. We can also prevent any app from interfering with Harmony Mobile, which is important too. It also, as part of that partnership, we integrate with Samsung's MDM as well now. So that's the end of the slide deck. That's all I wanted to show you. I actually took more time than I really intended on that. Any questions on the slide deck while I pull up the admin console? I'm looking at the chat, I'm looking at the Q&A. I don't see one yet. That kind of makes sense. I know I whipped through that a little too quick, but I wanted to get to this part. So here is the management console for Harmony Mobile. Again, I did a previous TechByte on this, and I highly recommend, if you're interested at all, taking a look at that. Or of course, if you would like to see a demo, just let me know. I'd love to give you a demo of it. The thing I wanted to focus on today is the new stuff. So the policy has been, the way we do policy in this product has been changed. It used to be that all these drop downs were all on one big page, and it was a little overwhelming, I will say. Now we have this nice scenario where you have different subsections of the policy, right? And you could go to them. Okay, I want to look at my iOS specific security and make a few changes here, and then I'll move on from that, and I'll go to my Android ones, and I could look at specifically that, right? So it's a little bit cleaner, the UI. And actually, a few of them have tabs. The network one has different tabs to go through different subsections, which is really nice, right? So that's pretty cool. The other thing that I'll point out right now is, since I'm here, here's where the file protection is, right? So download protection. Again, we got protection for applications, right? We can download and block as we see fit. This one, scan all downloaded files, right? That's the key for the new file scanning. You gotta click that on. We also have the ability to block and allow locations, which is the ability to block like a specific subnet or address that they're going to download from, right? So if we have a known malicious download site, you can add that right here. Conversely, if you have one that you want to explicitly whitelist, which is a little strange, I guess, but if you had to, you could simply add it right here. And then here for the Android storage scanning, it will it can actually scan the files that already are stored by clicking this. You can make exceptions. So if there's a file it picks up on that you think is okay, you can add that file here through a hash. So that's the file scanning. What was the other thing I was going to show? The Knox integration. So Knox is up here in device. Yep. So Knox, the new settings, we can go ahead and block an application from running until the scan has completely finished and made a verdict, right? We can also, we can set, and I'll show that in a second, we can set a risk level for certain categories of apps. Like let's say that we had our, just as a simple example, we had our corporate issued devices. We didn't want social media apps on them. We could set the social media application category to be a high risk category. And then Knox will actually block them from opening in the first place, which is pretty neat. So there's that. And then I think there was one other thing I wanted to show you, and it's escaping me right now. I know it's going to come to the forensics. So this has changed a little bit. We used to have like application reputation in here and stuff like that. Here's your events and alerts, right? And you can filter these based on what, security level you want to see, things like that. Here's the variety of apps that we're picking up, and we can see if we click one of them, what's the risk level and what permissions does it require, and what version are we running, and the permissions that it takes on the device, right? It uses the camera, it uses contacts access. This is WhatsApp does a lot of things, right? But that's how we do that. And then this is the new thing too, which is cool. We look at when we're gathering the OS versions, right, that we see in your environment. We actually have in here now a list, an assessment of these are the CVEs that apply to the versions of Android we're seeing, right? And you can search them by name and by number. But you can actually see in here more about it, and you can see if your policy exposes you to risk based on these vulnerabilities. Okay. So definitely cool stuff. That's like the new stuff. I'm gonna stop there because I know I'm a little bit past my 20-minute showing deadline, and I want to leave time for questions. So if you have any questions about what you saw today, again, you could drop them in the chat in the Q&A. You can also raise your hand if you want to be unmuted. I'll pause a second to let you do that. Yeah. Okay, so I got one question about BYOD. Very important. So the question is, what's the story with bring your own device, and how much does the admin see, right? So we actually have a way in here where you can turn on BYOD mode, and all you gotta do is flip this switch, right? BYOD mode will remove any private information from this console, right? It won't tell you who has downloaded, who has this app or who has visited this website that we're blocking, but it will tell you that a device you manage or a device that has your client, your Harmony mobile app, that you've seen that in here, and you can make policy revisions, and you can make blocks and allows and that sort of thing to accordingly, right, without actually knowing the specific user, so that everybody can feel a little bit more secure and private on their phones. It's a good question. I've got one more. So the question is this license? How's this licensed, right? Neat thing. It's actually licensed either way you want. We have a per device license, which is simply, hey, one phone, one license. But we also have a per user license, which gives you 3 devices per user. So if you have a lot of people who are, have 2 devices or 3 devices or what have you, that is also available to make it a little bit easier for you. Pause like one more second for any other questions or comments. Anything at all? Okay. In that case, if everybody's all set, I hope this was a good session. And for our new people, this was a good intro to the Tech Bytes. I'll be sharing out this this recording via the YouTube link, like I always do. And you can also go there and see any of the previous recordings, including the one I did it was actually about a year ago, which dives a lot deeper into the different features and different settings on Harmony Mobile, and talks about the stuff that already existed in here. Definitely appreciate everybody's attendance. Have a great day.